Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading for the sign of Libra, Sun, Moon or Ascendant for the month of October. I hope you are well. I'm using the Llewellyn Tarot for you today. Happy birthday if you've had it already. Happy birthday in advance if it's coming up. Yeah, let's have a look and see what's going on with you. I have 3 cards, please. Oh, thank you, for Libra. First one is 3 of Wands in your recent past. Current energy for Libra is Ace of Swords. That's your ace, very nice. And what's going towards Libra, please, for October? Oh, there we are. We have the Judgment card. Very interesting indeed. We have the Strength card at the bottom of the deck, and that is often associated with personal growth, personal development. And there seems to be something that you're kind of pushing to a realization of. There's a lot of activity and movement around you at the moment. I don't know if you're actually doing it or whether you're thinking of doing it, but there certainly seems to be some sort of realization that you're coming to in the present, in the here and now, that is, it seems, pushing you towards a big decision that needs to be made during the month of October. And let's have a look and see if we can work out what that is. So I have 2 cards for the 3 of Wands, please. Why is that here? We have the Queen of Swords. There you are. That's Libra energy. And one more, please. That's 2. Well, we've got the Wheel of Fortune in reverse, and we've got the 7 of Wands in reverse. That's interesting. Tell me about the Ace of Swords, please. Fuck. Oh, it's got right down the side of my blanket. Hang on. Pull it out. What do we have? We have the Knight of Wands, Sagittarius energy. And one more. We have the 7 of Cups showing up in the reverse. And then Judgment. Where's Judgment here for Libra, please? We have the King of Pentacles and Judgment. We have the 7 of Pentacles. Right, well, it seems very clear to me, even before I show you the card that is at the bottom of the deck, that this 3 of Wands that is appearing in your recent past is a desire more than an actual behaviour, right? The 3 of Wands is often about travel, it's about movement, it's a low-level card of manifestation whereby we're going after the things that we want. But the cards that are coming up to clarify it sort of indicate a level of stasis, potentially, that is happening here. But the current energy and moving through to what's coming towards you in October feels like it's a rejigging of perhaps your finances, certainly your material resources, but also your level of attention that is taking you towards a big change that is coming up. Right, the Judgment card is very much about decisions that are, potentially life-changing. And we have the Tower at the bottom of the deck, right? So I'm quite pleased that the Strength card came up first, because this doesn't feel like some sort of terrible event that is happening at you. More, it feels like the need to move is so strong that it feels like you're upending lots and lots of things. I'm going to pull this Triple Goddess deck out here because I feel like we might want to be looking at it. So let's start here with this 3 of Wands. There it is. And like I said, it's about travel, it's about movement, it's about the steps that you take in the day-to-day to get yourself towards something that you want. And the presumption is that you will have decided what that was in the 2 of Wands before you get to the point where you're actively going after it in the 3 of Wands. And we have you here, right? Very strong indication of your energy on this. But it's interesting that it's coming right up against a brick wall. And that's that feeling of stasis that I had going on here. It's like there's a desire to do all of these things, and yet it seems like the fates are conspiring against you to make sure that you don't get a chance to do it. Almost like you're having to stand still in a way that you don't want to do. And I wonder, I find it curious that the Queen of Swords should have come out first. because that's a very discerning energy, right? It's a good energy for weighing up all of the information and making, getting to a point where presumably it would be handed off to the King of Swords to make a decision about it. But it's like, it's straight up against something very fucking solid. And the Wheel of Fortune, it does talk to your fortunes improving and things like that. I don't read it as your fortunes going down the toilet when it turns up in the reverse. More like it's not seeing a lesson that has been brought in front of you to be seen. It's interesting that it's come up with the Seven of Wands in reverse, because the Seven of Wands is an energy of protection or defense, if you will, and those two things are ever so slightly different. This is why I wanted to pull up this extra deck, because it feels like there's quite a lot going on with you here. It's almost like there's something that's right in front of your nose. I have to say, there's a Judgment card that's just jumped out there, that you haven't yet seen. And whereas with the Seven of Wands, if it was in the upright, it would be, you kind of fighting a direction that is coming in for you, right? And trying to fight something off. There isn't any fight in you here. There's almost like a resigned energy. Kind of like, well, things are shit. I can't do what I want to do. I just guess I'm going to have to put up with it. You don't seem to be having a need to push. And it was interesting when I did the meditation before I started your reading. You seemed very tired to me. It was quite low level energy. The fact that the Queen of Swords is in the upright rather than the reverse means that it's not excuse me, that you've kind of got tied up in your own head or anything like that. Like, you feel to me like you're thinking quite clearly, but there's a level of misinterpretation of what is in front of you. And it might simply just be because you are so fucking tired. There are loads of things that you want to do, but you just don't seem to be able to gather the energy to do it. And the universe isn't parting the sea for you to go and do those things. And so this feeling of and it's not resolution. What's the word that I'm looking for? I can't recall. It's just a sense of acquiescing to the situation. There doesn't seem to be a lot of fight in you here. Tell me about the Seven of Wands in reverse. We've got the King of Wands in reverse. And we've got the Four of Pentacles in reverse. Now, that's quite interesting, because the King of Wands in reverse obviously is no action whatsoever. But the Four of Cups in reverse is a card that generally I associate with gratitude for things. So where it's in the upright, it speaks about rejection or rejecting, or sometimes feeling like you're on the outside of stuff, right? She's literally looking out of the window. There's a grass is greener kind of energy about that. When it shows up in the reverse, it is about being grateful for what you have. And the lack of energy is pushing you to the conclusion that actually you should just be grateful that, I don't know, you have your health, or things are actually not as bad as you fear that they are. So you just sit where you are for a little bit. The thing is, you feel like you're in a bit of a fog. But what's fascinating about it is that you have not perceived that you're in a bit of a fog, which is really intriguing, because when we come to your current energy, we've got the Ace of Swords, we've got the Knight of Wands, and we've got that Seven of Cups appearing in the reverse. Now, that is a card of illusion and emotional confusion when it shows up in the upright. When it comes up in the reverse, it's moving out of that sort of energy. It is brain fog, which you are then moving out of. And the thing is, most of the time, we know when our brain isn't operating to its fullest capacity. We have a sense that we maybe not exercising discernment, discretion, good judgment. And hopefully, we give ourselves a little bit of time to rest and get over it, and then, it all returns. But you feel to me like you're thinking quite clearly, but there's such a resignation. There we are, thank you. There's such a feeling of resignation about where you're at, that there's absolutely no fight in you, and there's no desire to actually chase after the things that you want, right? To take that 3 of Wands steps, take those 3 of Wands steps towards your ultimate goal. But when we move into your current energy, it's like a light bulb going on in your head, because this Ace of Swords is a recognition of your own cognitive processes having been somewhat compromised. And you're not the only sign to have had this. I wonder if Mercury retrograde has really kicked the shit out of you, Libra. It was in your sign. Certainly for a while before retrograding back into Virgo. But it seems like the fog clears, and it clears pretty quickly. If I recall correctly, and I might not, so if I'm not recalling correctly, please do feel free to correct me in the comments. I feel like we're out of the shadow period by October the 3rd, and that would explain why in your current energy there's a return to clearer thinking, right? The Ace of Swords can be variously the truth. It can be clarity of thought. It can be clarity of expression, perhaps where you've been tripping over your words and finding it really difficult to talk. Maybe even just difficult to order your thoughts. Because this Knight of Wands has a much sparkier energy than everything else that we've seen over here, right? It's very present and it's very aware. And it is also recognizing that we're literally traveling out of this brain fog right here. Know about these 2 cards here. What else do I need to know about these? Thank you. We've got the King of Cups. And we've got the Tower. Interesting. And the 10 of Cups. I feel like you are getting ready, as I said before, to make some really quite spectacular changes. But in the interim, right, where you have been sat in this resigned state, I was going to say resignated, that isn't even a word, I don't think, this resigned state, it feels like lots of things have been coming up to the surface for you, right? So I didn't even see the card that was underneath, but the card that is right at the bottom, the shadow card, the theme for this whole reading, if you will, is the moon. It is the things that are hidden. And for me, that is often your subconscious. Now, when we're busy zipping around day to day and our mind is full of things, our subconscious doesn't actually, our conscious mind doesn't ever notice our subconscious mind at work. And the fact is that the subconscious mind is actually usually running the ship in that state. When we stop, when we take time, when we are peaceful sometimes, whether it's in a state of meditation or because we're ill and we can't do anything else, it tends to create the space. For the subconscious to start bubbling to the surface and telling you things, and for the conscious mind to actually listen. Now, what we've got here is the Moon card, indicating the subconscious, that which is hidden, all that sort of thing. And sitting behind it, the Ace of Wands. Now, just a mere, little while ago, and for some of you it will be a matter of days, others of you it will be weeks, where this, recent past has been going on. There was such a state of resigned energy that the Ace of Wands seemed further away than you could possibly have feared. It wasn't just that it wasn't there. There was no desire to go and find it either. There was no desire to tap into it. That seems to be springing up anew in you at the moment. And this King of Cups with the 10 of Cups seems to be the emotional force that's behind the desire for change. There's something, and we'll certainly get into that in a second, there's something in your life, and perhaps it's just the way that you're existing at the moment, where there's a lack of fulfillment. And it feels to me like you're feeling re-sprung. That's what I've just been checking. When you got like nasty old springs and they're just like all stretched and they're not doing their thing anymore, and then you replace them with really tight springs and suddenly the thing works as it used to. Everything's kind of tightening up with you. It's almost like a really tightly coiled spring getting ready for this big tower that's coming in. I mean, it doesn't feel like it's happening at you. This is not it doesn't feel like it's a sudden job loss or something along those lines. Nothing that is inherently threatening to you. More it is like, fuck, the light bulb going on in your head is like, I haven't been thinking clearly, and actually I can totally change all of these things. I don't know why I've been sitting around here feeling sorry for myself, or even feeling relatively peaceful but resigned about the fact that things aren't going to change. It's identifying what is emotionally important to you and then being all like, fuck, I'm going to go and get it. I'm going to go and do that thing. Because we've got the Ten of Cups there. And it might be that you want to be closer to your family. It might be that you want to spend more time with your family. Maybe you haven't seen them in a little while. That would definitely be indicated by these cards. But it could also be that you've been in a job that you've got no fucking satisfaction from at all, and you literally go and pay the bills, and there are things that you could do that would be so much more fulfilling if you just put in a little bit of effort, right? If you looked for the opportunity. But with the Moon card at the bottom here, it's been a necessary identification of what's been going on underneath that allows you to sidestep it, move out of the way of it, because you weren't aware of it before. Now, when we get into your what's coming towards you in October, right, this is all kind of ramped up a notch by the addition to the 2 towers of the Judgment card. Now, the tower is a redirection. It's always a redirection, and people are often terrified of it, and it is often indicative of spectacular change, and we don't deal with change terribly well as a species. So it's understandable. But what the tower energy is doing is putting a broom through your life, and it's getting rid of the things that you don't want, right? And that can often be quite uncomfortable, but ultimately it is for your highest good. And it always takes you to somewhere that is better. But it feels to me like this tower is self-induced. You are bringing the tower. So maybe you are handing in your notice, or maybe you're like, I'm going to uproot myself and literally move closer to the people that I care about. I mean, take it as it resonates to you. It's going to be different for each of you. But the Judgment card is the point where you make the decision. And that's the important thing. Because this is you taking ownership of the situation. This is no longer being in a state of resignation about something. It's being, actually, I can change this. I can do something about it. I mean, maybe you've just been thinking too narrowly about a situation. And what's happened is, in this period of stasis that you've had, you actually found yourself stepping outside of the box. And it's like, oh, well, obviously I can't do it if I think about it in this way. But if I take into account the fact that I could do it elsewhere, or I could do something else, there's a much bigger area here for me to work in than that I thought there was, then suddenly everything becomes possible again, and you get to make decisions about how you move forwards. Now, I like the fact very much that we have the King of Pentacles and the Seven of Pentacles underneath here, because the King of Pentacles, the very first thing that I feel when the King of Pentacles up is this sense of being a provider, being very duty driven, right? It comes through very strong with the King of Pentacles in a way that it comes through with the other kings too, but to a much lesser extent. This is somebody who shows up, and it's, and often the way that he shows up is by providing resources for people. Now, I think that what's happening here is a revision of your material circumstances, because it's an identification with the Seven of Pentacles about what it is that can shift in your life, what it is that can be, working out what it is that is wrong first. Because the Seven of Pentacles in its original depiction, and it's been reprinted so many times and it's been recolorized and all that sort of thing, but if you go back to the original coloring of this tarot card, what you've got is this, I think it looks like a potato plant actually, right? It's got potato plant things going on, but right, the leaves are all browning, and he's looking quite forlornly at the plant, leaning on his hoe, and he's obviously trying to work out what the fuck he's supposed to do with it. Does he need to spend more time investing in this, or does he need to pull this plant out, clear the ground, dig it all over, do all the things that gardeners do, and then hope that next year he has a better crop from it, because he's just not getting from the situation what he needs, right? So do you need to lean into what you already have more, or do you need to throw it up in the air and do something else? I like the energy of the Seven of Pentacles because it is that present energy of looking at a situation exactly as it is and applying your problem-solving brain to changing it, right? I feel like in some ways there's been an Eight of Swords at play here, because, well, like I said, the thinking was very narrow about what it is that you were trying to apply your mind to. Now, I like it further because we've got the King of Pentacles. As I said, actually, I went off on a whole sideways thing about the King of Pentacles, right? But the other thing that he talks about is long-term planning, right? He is the king of delayed gratification. He understands that what he wants cannot appear in the here and now, right? It can't, because what he wants needs to be built, it needs to be invested in, it needs to be nurtured, it needs to be allowed to grow. It is slow, but it is absolutely solid. This month here, October, seems to be the beginnings of a formulation of a plan for you, addressing the things that are wrong with your life and how you can make them better. And the Tower energy means that there is something really quite spectacular involved within that, something that certainly pushes you, at least for a short while, outside of your comfort zone. But I like the fact that the Justice, not the Justice card, the Judgment card, is indicating that you are making the decisions about it. It is your judgment that is at play here. I just want to pull one more card here. We've got the Two of Cups, and we've got the King of Swords, and we've got the Star, which is Aquarius energy, as the King of Swords is, and we've got the Two of Cups. So this is absolutely related to people, and that could be business people. I mean, it could be a business partnership where you're like, I'm just too far out, I've got no fucking, I'm not involved with things, and I need to be involved in it more, right? Whether it's just because it's a good use of your time, or because you think that, whatever you're involved in might benefit from you being physically present to it, But it could be about the people that are important to you too. It could be about the intimacy. You might be moving closer to friends, or, deciding that actually it would be quite nice to move closer to your family, like I said. Whatever it is, the Star card is beautiful at this point, because it dovetails so neatly with the King of Pentacles. Right? It's almost a sense of the fact that you've just been kind of looking at your feet for quite a long time, and you go, oh, well, here's this square foot of planet that I'm standing on right here. I can't really go anywhere, I can't really do anything, so I might just be happy with this square foot. And it's like, well, actually there's a whole world out there for you that you can explore, that you can do, and there are options that are open to you if you are willing to make the big decisions. And there's been an unwillingness to make the big decisions, which is now currently in the process of being completely replaced with a willingness to do it. It's very motivating, because these are your highest goals and dreams and aspirations, right? It's sometimes called the wish card here, but it is absolutely about reaching out for something that you want. And with this King of Pentacles, willing to put in the time and the effort, invest the resources in making that happen. I'm glad that this Two of Cups is here, because it does speak to the emotional fulfillment and a need for intimacy and connection, forming part of the drive for moving for what you want to do moving forward. So we've got the Page of Wands at the bottom of the deck here, and that's a card that I often associate with feeling very excited about what opportunities might be lying in front of you. The Strength card is an indication of your personal growth. The personal growth comes from the willingness to, I guess, to take a risk, but make those big decisions no matter what, period of life you happen to be existing in at the moment. The Tower is being willing to uproot everything for what you could have rather than what you currently have. I wonder if you realise that you just got a little bit too comfortable with being complacent, or complacent about being comfortable. and something in you seems to have fired up, and now the practical part of your mind's like, no, I can do this, I can make something happen here. I think this is wonderful, Libra. I really like this. So if this reading has resonated with you and you would like to go a little bit deeper into it, I'm going to go over to Vimeo now. We're going to pull October apart and have a look, see what you need to know about that. So you're welcome to join me over there if you would like. You could also join my Patreon community if you were so interested to do so. And then you would get access to all of the other extended content for no extra cost. So you could have a look at your Mars, or you could have a look at your moon sign or your rising sign, or whatever. But if neither of those apply, just know that this, as this energy hits, it feels to me like there is no plan that is too big at this point, right? All the energies seem to be converging for you to be able to tap into and make some really quite extraordinary changes. You are supported in this. So I'm going to leave it there. Know that I love you all very, very much, and I'll see you soon.